Monday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Whoopin Bets podcast here. I'm Kota Pace. This is episode 3, and we are part of the Kota Sports Gambling Network there at Kota Cappers on Twitter and Instagram, or www.kotasportscappers.com. Ladies and gentlemen, week 1, baby. Week 1 of the new 2020-2023 women's college basketball season is in the books, and we had a heck of a week to start. 22-12 on the season, plus 9.39 units. Before we get into our week recap here, ladies and gentlemen, we also have a pretty full show here. Little week recap, some interesting games from week 1 that we paid attention to, and some week 1 hot takes and betting one-liners. And then to finish off the show, we have some Monday's leans here. We got a lot of good top 25 matchups here on Monday. So some leans, and we also have a juice parlay for you as well, or at least we don't actually have all the numbers because none of the lines are out yet, but some things that we have circled for when the lines do come out. So before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, again, this sportsbook, BetUS, doesn't have a ton of women's basketball lines, but they've been kind enough to give us a link below in the description. And if you are looking for another sportsbook to use for your NFL betting, or your men's college basketball, or your NHL betting, or your or anything else, literally anything, NBA, what have you, you can receive 125% sportsbook bonus upon your initial deposit by using that link below. So again, they don't have a ton of women's lines, but if you're like me, I have a ton of different sports books, right, to shop different lines and things like that. So if you're looking for another one, and another one where you can take advantage of a bonus, BetUS, use a link in the description below, and you can do that there. So again, I went on Twitter last week, ladies and gentlemen, too, and I said that mybookie.ag was the best book to bet on women's college basketball, and that I believe that's just factual information. If you don't have sports betting legal in your state, if you don't have FanDuel, if you don't have DraftKings, things like that, mybookie.ag has a ton of lines. Now, they don't have a lot of different kind of options, like first half, first quarter, second quarter, things like that. But they have a bunch of alt spreads, alt totals, things like that. And we hit some parlays too, with those alt spreads and alt totals. So if you go to Bovada, today some of the games had a total of 6 total bets that you can make, right? A little first half action, your normal side or your total. Some of them don't even have money line. Mybookie.ag does have most of the games, I think, have money line, unless it's like a huge 50-point spread game, but both have money line odds. So Bovada is again number 2. It might be down the list for women's college basketball. Number one to me is mybookie.ag. If you're a MyBookie, if you work there and you're listening to the show here, hook me up. Hook me up so I can hook the people up, because I believe in your product, and I appreciate the lines that you give out, team totals, things like that. I just appreciate all that MyBookie does. Again, I just gave out a code, a link below for BetUS. It might seem like competing sports books here a little bit, but we're all in the same game. We're all trying to do the same thing, right? I'm just trying to help you get an extra bonus if you use BetUS. If you bet on women's college basketball heavily, mybookie.ag is your go-to book. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick it off with a little recap action. 22-12 plus 9.39 units, like we kind of said in the intro. Monday, the season opened, obviously. We went 4-1 plus 2.85 units. We did have Milwaukee plus 2.5. I'm not saying it would have cashed, because I don't ever want to say things would have cashed if this would have happened, but 12 first half points against Wisconsin, not great. You played the second half. I think you led in the second half. If there was a second half line, and if we would have taken Milwaukee, we most likely would have cashed. You just can't have 12 first quarter points, right? Or first half points. You just cannot do that. Wednesday, little down day, but it was our only down day, I believe, if rolling through this here. We went 2-4 minus 2.6 units. So. Thursday, 4-2 plus 1.7 units. We missed on the Iowa State. Huge spread, minus 33.5. I believe that was against Southern. I thought that would hit. Didn't. And that's Baylor Incarnate Word over 126. Also didn't hit. Honestly, thought Baylor was going to get 80, 90 points. I thought Incarnate Word kind of follow it up, score 40 at least, and hit that over, but didn't go that way. Baylor started 0 of 10, 0 of 8, 0 of 9 from beyond the arc in that first half. So, hey, you can't win them all, right? And that's just shown here, 22-12, which is still very, very good. You're not going to win every sports bet. Just not. And I think a lot of people watching the show and a lot of people that do sports bet probably do understand that. Friday, though, was our money day. Friday and Sunday were pretty good days. Friday was our money day, though. 6-0 plus 6.34 units. We hit 2 parlays as well. And the reason I brought up mybookie.ag is because we did have 2 parlays that we did hit. Now, you're going to look at these parlays when we break it down and be like, what the heck, man? Like, if I'm hitting a parlay, like some of these guys, some of the spread the floor guys hit some huge parlays this weekend. I think like over plus 2,000 odds, which is tremendous. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of them. I think that's great work. Hats off to those guys. Snaps, claps. That's tremendous, right? I'm looking for guaranteed winners. Right? And you might be like, well, then just bet on a game, right? Just bet on a spread, just one game. Yeah, that's fair. But you'll notice if you do have mybookie.ag that you can do alt spreads, you can do alt totals. So check out some of these. Check out these parlays that we hit. We took SMU versus Oklahoma. We took over 130. I think that total was in the 140-ish range, right? So we're just buying things down. The odds decrease, right? That bet right there was minus 625. Put 4, 5, 6 of them together, you're going to get some plus 150, plus 200 type of bets, and that hopefully guaranteed-ish winners, right? This one that we hit, the first one on Friday, was just a plus 100 parlay, 4-pick parlay. We also had the Arkansas Razorbacks at minus 20 at minus 416. I think they were right in that minus 30 range. Again, we're buying things down. We also had the Navy midshipmen in the Air Force Falcons over 110. I believe that total was right around 118, something like that. Again, we're buying things down. Then we took Rhode Island minus 7. I think they were like minus 16 or something like that. So we bought that down tremendously as well. We probably didn't need to for some of those games, for 4 of those games, but throw them in a parlay, guaranteed winner, boom, cashes. So that's how we started Friday. And then we followed it up. We had the UND Wyoming under 130. And then that was awesome. And then we also hit on Virginia Tech minus 20.5, Indiana big spread in South Carolina minus 4.5. We'll talk about Maryland a little later. I don't think they're for real. I think they're a little fraudulent. Again, hot takes, overreactions here. It's been 1 week of basketball, and there we go. That's just the media. That's just me spitting out my hot take. So there's that. And our second parlay that we did hit, again, another juicy parlay, but it was a 5-pick one here. I believe it was plus 184. If I'm not mistaken, we had the LSU Tigers minus 35. Again, that was minus 416. We're buying things down. We had the Mountain Hawks of Lehigh and South Dakota State, Jackrabbits over 120. That spread was in the low 130s at minus 370. We had the Denver Pioneers plus 10. I think they were favorites, small favorites. We took them all the way as a double-digit favorite, underdog at minus 660. And that got a little dicey there. I think they lost that game by 9, but they still covered, the plus 10. Then we took the Stanford Cardinal minus 20. Again, their spread against the Pacific Tigers was, in that minus 30 range again, I believe. And then the Texas Longhorns was, right around minus 22-ish, and we got them down to minus 14. So again, the reason I hyped up my bookie is because they do have your alt spreads. They do have your alt totals. If you like 4, 5, 6 of them, put them in a parlay. Why not? They're juicy, they're loosey, and they're almost guaranteed to hit. And again, this is week 1. We're 7 days into betting women's college basketball here. So I'm sure in January and February, this little segment's going to come right back around and bite me in the ass and say, you took 8 of these, juicy alt spreads, alt totals, and you said they were guaranteed winners, and I lost 8 in a row. I lost all 8. That's impressive in its own right that you did not win one leg of an 8-leg parlay. You've lost all 8, but somehow probably going to come bite me in the ass, right? So again, that's why I use mybookie.ag, trying to not hype them up so much, but I do think that they're number 1 when it comes to women's college basketball if you don't have a FanDuel or DraftKings account. So again, a very successful, and then Saturday 0-2 wasn't great. We did miss on a juicy parlay, so that was unfortunate. And then we also took who did we take? We took Chattanooga plus 2.5. They just had a late collapse, a fourth quarter collapse in their season opener game. So we figured that they might come out on fire. Didn't happen. So we went 0-2 in there on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we finished strong. Again, we finished out the week strong, 6-3 plus 3.2 units. So you have to be happy with that, right? You have to be happy. 22-12, just up nearly 10 units so far on the season. Let's just keep building, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just keep building. All right, some interesting games from week 1. Sunday, we had Iowa and Draco to overtime. Iowa outscored Drake 10-4 in overtime for the 92-86 win. I get this Iowa team. I like this Iowa team. I think what Caitlin Clark has done for women's college basketball has been tremendous. I love the way she plays basketball. I think she's going to be a sharpshooter in the WNBA when she decides to head on out of Iowa and take her talents to the WNBA. But Drake, all 5 starters had double digits, scored in double digits, right? And if you can get that again against an Iowa team, you're probably gonna have a pretty good chance to win this ball game. If you have a good offensive set, and if you have a pretty solid defense, you can beat Iowa, because Iowa can't stop anybody. They can't stop anybody, man. And if they want to continue to be a top team in the league this year, in the nation this year, they have to get better defensively. They just have to get better defensively. Again, overreaction, what have you. It was a fun game to watch there on Sunday. Then we had Belmont. They had a chance to beat number 7 Louisville. They legitimately had a chance to beat Louisville. It came down to that out of bounds play there with just a handful of seconds left. Tried to run up a set there. Just didn't work out. Lady went baseline, and I think she turned it over, threw it away, something like that. And then Belmont had a foul Louisville, and they ended up winning by 5 points. But check this out. Van Lith took 22 shots. Can you guess how much the next person on Louisville's team took? 3, 2, 1. Let's say at the same time. 8. Van Lith took 22 shots. The next person took 8 shots. That's not going to win you a lot of ball games, right? When you get down into March, conference play, things like that, other people got to score. You got to spread the ball out. You got to get shots and get made shots from different people. You cannot just have Lith take 22 shots. I know she's a wonderful player. She's gonna be able to will Louisville to some games this season. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, you're gonna have to spread the game out, spread the ball out, get some contributions from some other players. Nova took down number 24 Princeton. This was on Friday. Behind 32 points from Maddie Segrist. That was a good game. We were on a Princeton under earlier this week, and then Nova takes down number 24 Princeton, and Princeton's got another big couple of games coming up here later this week that we'll talk about as well. Then we got number 21 Creighton taking down South Dakota State, number 23 in the nation, on Monday in Frost Arena. How about those Creighton Blue Jays? Lauren Jensen dropped 30 points. She's a Minnesota native. Creighton went to Frost Arena, took down South Dakota State. Then they went to Vermillion, took down South Dakota, the Yotes, and left the state of South Dakota with a 2-0 record. So that was a great game as well. And then Lipscomb, Northern Kentucky, triple overtime. There's a couple overtime games here in week 1. That was a great game as well. One of the Lipscomb players banged home a triple from near the top of the key to send it into overtime. And then we had free basketball 3 times over. And that was a great game as well. Again, it's just an exciting season. Women's college basketball is just so fun to watch. It's competitive night in and night out, and just being able to bet on it just makes it a billion times better. So if you haven't already, hashtag BetWBB for hashtag Bet Women's Basketball. We're trying to get that hashtag going here on Twitter. Again, follow the Whoopin Bets podcast. Follow the Whoopin Bets account on Twitter at Whoopin Bets. Of course, I'm at Kota Capper Pace from the Kota Sports Gambling Network, at Kota Cappers, at Kota Capper Pace on Twitter. The Juice Man, week 1, hot takes, betting, one-liners. Again, there's going to be a lot of overreactions, ladies and gentlemen. It's just week 1, baby. It's just week 1, but it's fun to do. I think Maryland, Louisville are overrated. Simple as that. Hell, throw in Tennessee. I think Tennessee is overrated. I think Tennessee's going to get their clocks rung. Okay, maybe that's a little aggressive. On Monday against the Hoosiers, I think the Hoosiers are a wagon. So I think Tennessee, I think Maryland, and I think Louisville are all a little overrated. I still can't believe South Carolina was only 4.5 point favorites. I think it jumped up though to 7.5 when they played the Terrapins. But to open up at 4.5, man, it was a gift. It was a freaking gift, baby. I know it was on the road for the Gamecocks, but South Carolina is the clear favorite. They have damn near everybody back, and they're ready to roll. I mean, Maryland lost some people to the transfer portal. You don't think South Carolina could go in there and dominate Maryland? Well, that's exactly what happened, especially there in that second half. And then Louisville again. Van Lith is the go-to gal, right? But I think she's gonna maybe be is Louisville gonna be this year's? That's not a fair comparison, so I won't even make it. But I do think Louisville's a little overrated as well. Again, these are all week 1 overreactions, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep that in mind. So those 3 teams I do have circled in my notebook that when I'm breaking their games down, what's the other side? Who are they playing? Can we get some money line action on their opponents because we don't believe in them, because we think they're a little fraudulent here after week 1? Possibly. So I have those 3 teams circled, and just, again, something to keep an eye out for when you are breaking down these games, trying to make your plays, things like that. Who's Tennessee playing on Monday? Indiana. What's the money line? Is there any value taking that? Because I like the Hoosiers. I don't know if I like the Vols yet. It's going to take some time to gel for that team to come around, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine towards the end of the year. Who knows? They'll probably surprise me and win it all. I have no idea. I just think for an overreaction, that's a great one. Those 3 teams are a little overrated for me in the first 7 days of the season. I also think fading San Jose State is a wonderful move. I got to get a water break. How many water breaks are we going to have here in this episode? I've already ran through 140-minute show without the mic on. Hopefully the mic's on. Again, we're going to double check. I think it is. Yes, it is. So we're going to set the water breaks at 2.5. Water breaks at 2.5. We're at 1. All right. Put in the comments below. You're taking the over or under on that. Again, San Jose State, I don't think they're very good. One of the worst teams in the nation. I think if you can fade them, that's a power move. That's a great move as well. Fade Mount St. Mary's or take their team total under. Now, keep in mind, they've had a very rough first 3-game stretch. 45 points against Virginia Tech, 44 against Richmond, 38 against NC State. So you would think that their schedule is going to get a little easier, but the fact is that they don't put up a lot of points, or they haven't so far. And maybe this isn't a fair betting one-liner to pay attention to. Maybe if we did this podcast after that first game against Virginia Tech, especially when they took on Richmond and NC State, I would have been either take Mount St. Mary's, their team total unders going into those 2 games, or take Richmond or NC State, because it's going to be a blowout, and that's exactly what happened. So Mount St. Mary's, again, if they're playing a very competitive, really, really good team, I would maybe fade them or look at their team total under. Keep in mind on that. Again, the very, very tough 3-game stretch to start the season for Mount St. Mary's, but I did have to bring that up. Hammer LSU or Stanford, right? I mean, big spreads, screw it. I'll spread it. Get every spread to 50 until they start playing some conference games, right? Get every spread for these 2 teams to 50. Maybe get some plus money. Who knows? If you hit 1 or 2 out of 6, you'll probably make some money, to be honest. That LSU line there on Sunday was crazy. I saw some people tweeting about it. At one of the books at FanDuel had it at minus 26. Then it hopped up to like 40. Then it ended up like 46 or 47.5, something like that. The books didn't know what the hell to do there with LSU. I also think if you take Florida Gulf Coast team total overs, or just game overs in general, who's Florida Gulf Coast playing today? Boom, take the over, or boom, take their team total over. They scored 81 points against Old Dominion and 92 here on Sunday against Florida International. We had the over. That was awesome to see. Again, another possibly, if you're mixing up a juicy parlay, maybe buy that over down with a Florida Gulf Coast team. And if it's going to be at 145, 148, 140, get it to in the 130s, high 130s if you can. It's going to be juicy. It's going to be juicy, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking for sure guaranteed winners when we're doing those parlays. If you're looking for big money parlays, the Spread the Floor guys have done a tremendous job. They're banging home some bets this season, and it's great to see. Obviously we all want to win money, right? We all want to make the people money, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. Those guys are doing a tremendous job as well. 2 other here, not really hot takes, but just kind of new noteworthy notes. Sure. Southern Misses, I'm gonna butcher names this year. I'm gonna butcher names. Set the over under names. I'm gonna butcher at 20.5 this season. That it might even be too low. Southern Miss, Dominic Davis is one hell of a player. I watched here. Was that on Friday, I believe? So an underrated team. A great player on an underrated team, or under the radar team, I should say. If you get a chance to watch Miss Davis from Southern Miss, she is a wonderful player. She can put the ball in the basket. She can dish it out. She can grab rebounds. She plays damn near every single minute of every game. I think in that first game, she played 37 minutes. The last game out on Friday, or whatever game day that was, she played 39 minutes. She's fun to watch. A great player there that Southern Miss has. And then again, Circle Tulsa. I know they play on Monday. I believe they play Missouri. Watch out, Missouri. Watch out. I think Tulsa is a legit, maybe aggressive word, but I do have them circled when they play. I think I'm going to pay attention to them. You might, again, be able to make some money betting them on the money line, because I do think they're that solid enough a team, or they can surprise some of these larger SEC teams, things like that. So Tulsa, I like. they've impressed me so far this season. So there, again, some hot takes, some betting one-liners, some things I'm paying attention to going into week 2 here of the women's basketball 2022-2023 season. Overreactions. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to overreact, right? If you have any overreactions, drop them below. Any hot takes, drop them below in the comments there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, some Monday leans and a little juicy parlay action here as we look at the slate. And then after that, we do have a kind of a fun announcement as well. So again, there's some wonderful top 25 games here on Monday, and we'll just kind of breeze through those real quick. Again, I know lines are out, but we could talk about it. We can have some fun. So I do like, I'm guessing it's going to be a big spread, but the Lipscomb over Mississippi Valley State. I'm sure that spread will be in the mid-20s, maybe even get to 30. I do like that team, though. They're playing well. I believe they're off to a 2-0 start. That triple overtime winner against Northern Kentucky, and then they blew out of their next opponent, whatever day that was, Thursday or Friday. I can't remember, or was that Saturday? But I'd like that team over Mississippi Valley State. I just fade Mississippi Valley State. You could add that to a betting one-liner as well. And I like Indiana. I think we froze. All right, I apologize. Stop the video. Sorry. You probably got a weird-looking face of mine, and we're back. Boom, we're back. All right, let's get it. I like Indiana outright against Tennessee. Some of the guys and I were talking on Twitter, and people were like, hey, let's discuss these games. What's going to happen on Monday? We got some big top 25 matchups on Monday, but the Hoosiers are a wagon. The Hoosiers are a wagon. They're going to be a problem in the Big Ten. I think they're going to win the Big Ten. I think it's going to be a tremendous year for the Indiana Hoosiers. I've been super impressed with them. And I know they've only played, one game, right? How many games have they played? 2 games. But I've been impressed with these guys, with these ladies, man. I've been impressed with this team. They beat Vermont 86-49, and they beat UMass Lowell 93-37. They take on a Tennessee team that had 29 turnovers against Ohio State to open up the season. Then they had 19 turnovers the last time out to whoever the heck they played. Let's pull it up real quick. And who did they play? That's right, UMass. That was a 74-65 game. That UMass went down to Tennessee and damn near came away with a win. How about that? So I think Indiana moneyline. Man, I don't know if Indiana's going to be favored. Going down to Knoxville. I don't think they'll be favored. They very well could be. I just think with the rankings here, the book's going to look at that to be like, all right, Tennessee's number 5, Indiana's number 11. Yeah, Indiana's probably going to be a 3-point dog. That's what I'm going to say. I do like Indiana. I do like Indiana, and I think they can get a win there. And I think I froze again. No, I am back. And I think they can get a win down in Knoxville. So I'm going to take Indiana as our first lean. Again, no official games obviously are out, but I do like Indiana there for that first game. Texas and UConn. Texas and UConn are going to be another fantastic game. I lean UConn here. This is something I looked at before we hopped on the mic. Check out these schedules for Texas and UConn coming up. Texas, UConn today on Monday. Then they have Marquette. Then they host Princeton. That's a 3 tough game stretch there. That's a tough 3-game stretch. You look at UConn, they even have it tougher. Monday, Texas. Not Tuesday. Sunday, NC State, number 10, NC State. Then they host Duke. Then they host Providence. Then they're at Notre Dame. Then they're hosting Princeton. Then they're at Maryland. That is a tough stretch as well for the UConn Huskies. But, they're a great team. They're going to be ready for it. So it should be a fun, great Monday evening of some basketball. I am excited for that as well. Some other top 25 matchups we have here. Mississippi State, 2-0. Taking on South Dakota State, number 23 in the nation in Frost Arena. South Dakota State, 8-point favorites. I don't think they'll be a double-digit favorite here. I like South Dakota State here at home in Frost Arena. I know they lost to Creighton, but the South Dakota State team is very, very good. Maya Sellen is back. A lot of that team is back from last year. Watch out for the Rabbits there in the Summit League. Princeton taking on Seton Hall. Maybe lean a little Seton Hall action there. Then you have Oregon as well taking on Southern. Southern is real bad, man. Southern is real bad. And I know Iowa State kind of wrecked us there. We took Iowa State minus 33.5. But Southern, baby, who's their AD? Check this schedule out. At Iowa State. And now they're at home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, taking on the number 20 Ducks. The Ducks have started the season. Man, Northwestern, that was, again, that Richmond game, whatever that was, minus 8.5, whatever day that was, Thursday or whatever. That was a game of the year. Oregon Ducks minus 8.5 against Northwestern should have been a game of the year. They beat Northwestern 100-57, and then the Ducks went I should say, stayed home and just dismantled Seattle 90-47. This spread's going to be big. This spread's going to be big, but circle it because we're going to come back to it. Circle it because we're going to come back to it. So those are your top 25 matchups there. Ladies and gentlemen, we kind of look down the rest of today's slate, this Monday slate. And, I don't, anything else kind of pop out at us. Not a ton. I'm going to be paying attention or interested, I should say, in this Illinois Chicago State line at 5:30. Chicago State at home. That's going to be an interesting game. Some other games I like. Virginia Tech is probably going to be -22, -25 against South Carolina upstate. You would think, again, I don't make lines. I'm not a bookmaker. I'm not anything like that. So all these lines that I'm thinking that could be what they will be on Monday once they finally come out, I could be 100% wrong, and I most likely will be. But I like to try. I like to try a little bit. I also like Tennessee. I lean Tennessee Tech taking on Samford. Samford 0-2. Tennessee Tech, 68-57 against Cincy. They beat Ball State 68-63. But you have Sanford here, 66-62 against Troy. Then you got killed by Vandy by 30. I like Tennessee Tech there at home. They're 1-0 at home. Samford, 0-2 on the season there. So I'd lean Tennessee Tech. Again. I'm not saying it's an official play, but I do lean Tennessee Tech there. Oral Roberts and Oklahoma State. I'll leave this because we do have this in the juicy parlay, but that should be an interesting game there. Oral Roberts 0-2, Oklahoma State 2-0. I like Missouri as well. I lean Missouri against Western Kentucky. I like Arkansas and Tulsa. That's going to be an interesting contest as well. But is that in our? Yes, that is in our juicy parlay. So we'll kind of leave that alone, and we'll talk about that towards the end here. Then Southern Utah and Eastern Washington. I think that should be a solid contest as well. Southern Utah. I take that back. I think Eastern Washington wins this game handily. I think Eastern Washington. We might have to throw. I'm not even juicy parlay. Maybe as an option. Eastern Washington's a pretty solid team too. They're coming off that. They're coming off a win at Boise. Boise's a solid team too, and a 9-point win. I think Eastern Washington. I like that. I'm not saying it's a lock, but I heavy lean Eastern Washington taking on Southern Utah, the Thunderbirds, who just got pelted by the Gonzaga Bulldogs, 91-38. Not good there for the Southern Utah Thunderbirds. Great name, not a good team to bet on. All right, here we go. So we talked about with mybookie.ag that one of the reasons we hype them up, one of the reasons we like them is because they have the alt spread, alt totals, things like that. Again, we're looking for guaranteed winners when we do a parlay. The Spread the Floor guys have doing a tremendous job, like we said earlier in the show, of getting you winners, huge underdog winners, huge parlay winners. Continue to follow those guys, continue to take their bets, continue to cash with them, because what they're doing is phenomenal. But what we like to do on mybookie.ag is get some guaranteed winners. So now these are all going to be these what am I? These are all going to be obviously leans, but I have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have these 6 games circled because I am going to try and cook up some type of alt spread parlay with these. And I think with 6 teams, we're going to be able to get plus 150 to plus 250 odds. So that's very good for a parlay, because I do think these are going to have all 6 are going to have a wonderful time, wonderful chance of cashing. So like we just said, we do like Eastern Washington. I think this is going to be a fairly big spread there against Southern Utah, the Thunderbirds. We do have Eastern Washington circled, though. If we can get them down to 10, 12, 15 below to what the number is, that's wonderful for us. Oregon as well. We like the Ducks here, and we think we can get that done. Southern, you got to fade Southern, man. Fade Southern. I know they got the cover against Iowa State, but Iowa State did not come out very hot in that first half. If Iowa State flips the first half, their second half and their first half, they cover that game. So we're going to circle Oregon as well. We might even make that a normal play. That's probably going to be, it's probably going to be high 20s, which I'm fine with. Fade Southern. And then this one, we like Tulsa. I think Tulsa, like we said, we like Tulsa this season. They're taking on, why can't I find this Tulsa game here? I just had it pulled up. Tulsa's taking on Arkansas, so this is another one. Arkansas is probably going to be, a 5 to 8 point favorite on their home floor in Bud Walton Arena. But I like Tulsa. I like what they've done so far this season. Again, I know they're only 2 games in the season, but they've got some big wins, right? So I'm looking at teams that have big wins. Elkhorn, they beat 82-33. Then they beat San Jose State, who I'm not a firm believer in, by 30 points, 74-44. Arkansas on the other end has played Arkansas Pine Bluff. They won by 20. Then they played Central Arkansas and they won 72-34. Tulsa coming in here 2-0 on the season. I like what this team is doing. So that might be even a money line half unit to a 0.25 unit play on Tulsa. But again, we have that circle to possibly throw in this alt spread juicy parlay that we're trying to cook up here as well. And then we have Oklahoma State and Oral Roberts. These two teams, Oral Roberts they can't play defense. They're scoring, but they can't play defense. And Oklahoma State too. I think they have a pretty solid offense. So we're going to look to buy that total down. It's probably going to be in the 130, high 130s, low 140s. We can get that down to 130, 128, 129. We love that for this parlay. So we're probably going to try and buy that one down as well. We like South Dakota State as well. I think South Dakota State, we could get to an underdog. We could get to an underdog with an alt spread. So we like that one. Throw that one in there. And then Missouri as well. I like Missouri in this contest. And, this is probably going to be another high spread, right? Probably, against Western Kentucky. And, I like what Missouri has done as well. So I would figure that this is going to be, probably a 20-point spread, right? Which I'm fine with. But if we can buy it down to, I'm probably trying to think that this is what we did with Texas, right? Texas was -22, -24 against Louisiana Lafayette. We got them down to -14. I think that's what we'll get here probably with Missouri. Missouri beat Missouri State 68-51 on the road. And then they came back and just dismantled Bradley 83-38. If you look at Western Kentucky, they opened up against a 11-point loss to Vanderbilt. So again, Missouri, I almost like this as a straight play as well, but we'll look to throw them in the juicy alt spread parlay and maybe get them down to -15, depending, what it is. I'm guessing the spread's going to be high 20s, mid 20s, somewhere in between there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll just give it real quick again. Write it down, jot it down. Eastern Washington, we have circled. Oregon circled. Tulsa circled. We're going to buy down the Oral Roberts, Oklahoma State over. We like SDSU. We can potentially get them as underdogs at home. And then we like Missouri as well. Knock that spread down 10 points or so. And that's going to probably come out around plus 200 with 6 plays, probably over 200, plus 250. And we're going to be buying some favorites down 8 to 10 points. And that's great news for us. So again, we're looking for guaranteed winners on those parlays, and that's what we're going to try to do here today. But again, like we said, follow us on Twitter at Whoopin Bets. Did you take the over on the water? Did you take the under on the water? I need one more. What did we set it at? 2.5? I won't take 3. That's for damn sure. So that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kota Kepper Pace. Again, before we go, I do have an announcement quick to make. Every Sunday for sure. Every Sunday, despite maybe depending on holidays, things like that. Every Sunday, we will for sure have a recap video, kind of what happened during the week, coming back, and what the look ahead. And then we'll have some hot takes, some overreactions, and then kind of betting wise, what are we paying attention to this upcoming week? Are we fading San Jose State? Are we fading Southern? Things like that. Or did they turn a corner? Did they win some ball games and now they're off the fade list? Stuff like that. So every Sunday for sure, we'll have a show on YouTube, Kota Sports Gambling Network. Just search that on YouTube. You can find it, or just follow us on Twitter at Whoopin Bets, and we'll be tweeting obviously out the link every single day. We'll hopefully get some more guests too as well. So again, probably 1 to 2 shows per week, but one for sure on Sunday. A little recap action and looking ahead. Also, Monday, great top 25 games, right? We got some hella good games on a top 25 slate. I'm thinking about going live on Twitch. And we'll have the games pulled up on my setup here in the office, and we'll just talk basketball. And we'll find a book that maybe has some live lines. I think my bookie does. I think Bovada does as well too. I'm guessing a bunch of other ones do. But we'll just talk some basketball, hang out, talk some basketball, and just continue to create some content around women's basketball, because it's a phenomenal sport. It's fun to watch. You can bet on it. We just want to get people more involved and, just continue to crank out some good content around women's hoops. So Twitch possibly on Monday, if not for sure one of these times this week. But I want to do it on Monday because I do like these top 25 games on Monday. But like I said, for sure once or twice the rest of the week, we will for sure for sure once we will be on Twitch. Again, follow at Whoopin Bets. We'll tweet out all the links. I'd love to do it on Monday. We just have to make sure my setup works, all that jazz, all that fun stuff. So I'm Kota Pace. This has been the Whoopin Bets podcast, episode 3. And again, 22-12, up near 10 units on the year so far. That's awesome. Got to keep grinding, though. We're not satisfied. It's one long-ass season, so let's don't shoot our wad early on week 1. Let's continue to grind, find our spots, and cash some tickets. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will see everybody next week. Follow us at Whoopin Bets. We're probably going to go live on Twitch later this Monday. Alrighty, peace.